Hey, what's up, buddy? Welcome back to another Minecraft video. Today I'll be talking about the best Berserker builds. I just want to say before starting this video, if you are enjoying these type of videos, be sure to subscribe for more Skyblock content. That would be really appreciated. Anyways, building a Berserker set is probably the hardest one since there aren't that many dungeon armor sets that is made for Berserker like tank and healer. But before I start getting into the armor sets, let's talk about the Berserker. Berserker is a heavily damage-based class, which means when you're building a Berserker set, you need to go for strength and or crit damage. The mistake many people do, however, is that they only focus on that. You have to remember that you need to be able to survive the damage you're taking in. Combining all the information, I have made few armor pieces for you. The first set is the Adaptive Armor. The Adaptive Armor is a famous armor set that buffs your stats for every 5 catacomb levels and gives you 20 strength. The second armor set is Superior Dragon. Superior Dragon is a very expensive armor, but if you can't afford an adaptive armor yet and you already have the Superior, this set works perfectly fine. It can get you through floor 1 to 3, but you will struggle in floor 4. This set allows you to do a decent amount of damage and has a fair amount of defense and health. The third set is the Strong Dragon Armor. A strong set is basically a budget superior set with less damage and health. But honestly, this set won't make it close to floor 4, and you will struggle in floor 3. The fourth set is the Frozen Blaze Armor. This set is basically only used if you're using the Blaze Pet, since Blaze Pets buffs the armor stats. The fifth set is the Zombie Knight Armor. This set is a dungeon set that gives a good amount of damage and most importantly is tanky. If you use it with the Zombie Knight Sword, you get 50 more defense. In summary, the legendary Zombie Knight Armor 5-starred is the best armor set for Berserkers. Many people would think that Adaptive is better, but it's slightly worse than the Zombie Knight Armor. The Superior set is better than the Strong, but not better than Adaptive. The Frozen Blaze Armor with Legendary Blaze Pet is worse than Superior with Legendary Dragon Pet. So if you don't already have a Legendary Dragon, use Frozen Armor until you are able to upgrade into an Adaptive Armor. Honestly, I would not recommend going for the Frozen Blaze, especially if you don't already have it. Although, once it becomes a dungeon item at Catacomb level 29, it's a whole different story, and I'll be making another updated video. I can't really test it out right now. Anyways, now for Reforges. You should go for Fierce if you want to focus on damage only, and go for Spike if you want a bit of everything. It also increases your attack speed, which is good. You could do half Spiked and half Furious if you want, see what fits you best. If you are using the Frozen Blaze Armor, however, use Renowned Reforge because it increases your stats by 1%. Next up, we have pets. I'm going to mention few pets, explain what they do, and then I will summarize them and tell you what you should use. The first pet is Dragon Pet. This pet is a really expensive pet that gives you a decent amount of strength, crit damage, and crit chance. Also buffs your aspect of the dragon sword by a lot and increases your stats. The second pet is Tiger. Tiger Pet also gives you strength, crit damage, and crit chance, has the chance to strike again, and does more damage if there are no other mobs within 15 blocks. The third pet is Wither Skeleton. Same base stats as Tiger, but also gives defense and intelligence. The pet makes you take less damage from skeletons, deal more damage to Wither Skeletons, and gives mobs the Wither effect when you hit them. I have heard that the Wither effect actually does not work inside dungeons though. The fourth pet is Lion. Has the base stats of strength, crit damage and speed. It increases your damage by an amount, buffs your first hit damage by a percentage, and deal more damage to mobs under level 80. The final pet is Blaze. This pet buffs the Blaze armor by a percentage and doubles the effect of Hot Potato Books. Overall, the Dragon Pet is really expensive but does do damage, which is what you want. Not worth the price though, and only efficient if you're using Aspect of the Dragon and Superior Armor. The Blaze Pet, like I've mentioned earlier, should only be used if you're using Frozen Blaze Armor. The Lion Pet is an okay pet, does damage and all, but I would not recommend it. The Tiger Pet is probably the best pet in terms of damage and extremely helpful for killing the final boss in floor 4, since it has an ability to have a chance to strike twice, meaning when you shoot the Spirit Bow, it can do the damage of 2 arrows. The Wither Skeleton Pet, however, is slightly worse than Tiger, but still really good and can be used if you don't have Tiger. Honestly, the Tiger and the Wither Skeleton Pets both compete with each other a lot. If they add floors in the future that heavily focuses on skeletons, it's going to be better. Also wanted to say that you don't need the legendary version of Tiger, since the third ability seems to not work in dungeons. Correct me if I'm wrong, of course. That's what I've noticed and heard. Next up, we have swords. The swords don't really change a lot when switching between classes, so if you watched my other videos on tank and healer, this might be repetitive for you. So the sword I'll be mentioning are Adaptive Blade, Silent Death, Zombie Cutlass, 50mm Midas, Aspect of the Dragon, Zombie Knight Sword, and Hyper Clever Sword. The Adaptive Blade is a primary weapon if you're using anything but Zombie Knight armor. If you are using the Zombie Knight armor, use the Zombie Knight sword, since the armor has a passive that increases your defense with Zombie Knight sword, and the sword has a passive that increases your strength when using the Zombie Knight armor with it. The 50 million Midas is a good sword as always, but if it's not a dungeon item, the adaptive blade is better. It's still good and works perfectly fine, so if you can't afford an adaptive blade, it is fine if you still use it. The aspect of the dragon has the same approach as the 50 million Midas, but better when used with full superior and or dragon pet. The epic silent death is a good budget sword, does a lot of damage especially since it's a dungeon item and can be upgraded. The zombie cutlass is also a budget sword as it's fairly cheap and gives you 10 HP for every hit, decent amount of damage and has plus 100 attack speed. Overall a good sword for Berserker since most Berserkers are more squishy. The last sword, which is the Hyper Clever, is a secondary sword used only in the floor 4 boss room because it has an ability where it hits entities 4 blocks around you. The boss room has a lot of mobs, so really helpful there. Now if you're trying to reforge a sword, you should go for Fabled. Next up we have the helpful items. The first item is Ornate Zombie Sword. This sword has a good healing ability where it heals you for 144 HP plus 5% of your total health. If you can't afford it, you can use the Wand of Restoration or Wand of Mending, which are fairly cheap where it heals you for an amount of health per second for a duration of time. Another helpful item is the Weird Tuba. This item gives you 30 strength and 30 speed for 20 seconds, really good for Berserkers. The final two items are Mana Flux or Overflux. An Overflux is a buffed version of Mana Flux and more expensive. They both increase your regen health and mana over time and gives you more strength. The last thing that we have left is Talisman Reforges. Reforging Talismans for Berserker is kinda hard because there are two routes that you could take. You can focus on strength or attack speed. But if you're already using the Zombie Cutlass, you don't need to worry about that since it gives you the max amount of attack speed, which is 100. For strength, reforge the common and uncommon to superior, the rare to forceful, the epic to strong, and the legendary to strong. For attack speed, however, reforge the common to bloody, the uncommon to strange, rare to forceful, epic to strong, and some strange, legendary to strong. You don't need to go for 100% attack speed, but you can reforge until you get 100. In my opinion, I would not go for attack speed route because you're required to click really fast all the time for it to be really effective. So that's it. If you have any questions, be sure to let me know in the comment section. If you want to know what you should upgrade in the essence shop for each class, watch my other video on it. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this video and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye!